If your brain health is at risk, attitude that you're taking is like this playful, like... There are gonna be guys that are gonna try to stunt on you by knocking you out.
Stop, you gotta stop, you okay? Yeah. You proved it, okay? You got the big balls, okay?
I remember being 180 and worry, like, what would happen if this guy, I better watch my mouth. I don't understand why they're viewing me differently because I have 20 pounds more muscle. If you're white, you're not gonna be doing a bunch of that some black kid is doing. There is a price to be paid, which is brain cells. One good punch to the back of your head and you're having headaches for 10 years. A person swinging fists at your head is not, it's not a game.
Yeah.
Fighting is one of the coolest things that there is. Extremely human, and it completely like makes you feel alive and like attached to your body, and like in a way that no other sports that I can't imagine. Playing soccer does that. I know weightlifting doesn't do it. It's so high stakes. Your brain health is on the line, and your image and all these other things. Your ego, so it's like so much. It's so real. I mean, that's not an appropriate word to use, but there's no other. I don't really know how to encapsulate all the coolness of fighting.
How did you become so confident in confrontation? You have always been confident in that way.
Oh, I would love it if someone would confront me right now. Just make my day. It's the very best thing in the world when someone confronts you. Oh, I just. Because you just be polite and respectful until you have an excuse to actually bug out and act like the type of people. Obviously, if you get strong, you will feel less uncomfortable with people. Because I remember being like weighing 180 and not having any kind of training of any sort, and like worry, like, what would happen if this guy tried to beat my ass right now? What would happen? I better watch my mouth. And it's like, it helps you. It's very funny. It's a very good thing. Yeah, lift weights. It'll make you feel. It'll make things more entertaining.
Best YouTube channel to teach yourself the basics of boxing. Any suggestions?
𝐷boxing Academy. Actually, that's not a good one for basics. Precision striking. Precision striking, the little bald guy, he's good. Scott McLeod is good, but they show you like some weird irregular stuff, but they do show you they do show you non-contact drills you can do with a partner, which is a good way to get started. Barry Robinson's really good, but I wouldn't say that's really beginner friendly. Also, you got to pay for it. Dynamic striking, if you have money, you could go to dynamic striking and get some stuff. Teddy Atlas dynamic striking is kind of a dud. Scott McLeod's good. Precision striking is probably best for beginners. And there's one, the black guy,
Marvin Cook.
Marvin Cook, thank you. And also Shane, what's his name? Shane Dawson from Fight Tips. Shane Gillis and Shane Dawson from Fight Tips TV. The boxing stuff's tricky because you can get yourself in trouble in a lot of ways. If you go to a gym that has bullies, they're gonna like hit you in the head. And sometimes like you can go somewhere, you can get caught in an environment where the culture is like these guys hitting each other in the head and borderline or actually knocking each other out. And you can get caught up in that and think it's normal, for example, which it's not. And just as easily on the flip side of the coin, you can end up going to like a gym for like rich. Like in Los Angeles or any major metropolitan area, if you go to a boxing class, it's basically like a fitness jazzercise type class for where nobody ever gets hurt. So the way that you actually get better, you have to. There is a price to be paid, which is brain cells via sparring, and you have to do it in a careful manner with somebody who's not a bully, who doesn't want to stunt on you and knock you out, which is a thing that like. Every gym is going to have one guy that is like that Sean Strickland guy that wants to knock out the newbie. So you got to be careful. You don't want to end up at a gym where there's bullies. In jiu-jitsu, it's not such a problem because if you get bullied by somebody, but if you bully somebody doing jiu-jitsu, you're being a silly Billy because you're doing self-defense for women, and you're hurting another man by pinning his arm behind his back and twisting? Are you sure you're a boy, dog? But if you go to a jiu-jitsu gym and there's a bully there that, twists your arm behind your back, it's not a big deal because, it'll heal you'll be back to normal after a week or whatever. So it doesn't matter. If you go to a boxing gym or Muay Thai gym, and they've all got every gym, oh, MMA is such a great community, I love it, it's so awesome. There are gonna be guys that are gonna try to stunt on you by knocking you out. It's hard to be assertive, especially if you're in your 20s and some guy's like stunning on you, but he's got a casual attitude, like he's being playful, like, come on, man, come on, boom!
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. It's hard to be like, yo, what are you doing? You're being an animal right now, you gotta stop. I'm not training with you, get the away from me. Like that's what you can't let somebody do that to you. My sparring partner was so good. He's one of the best people I've ever met.
Sean Bay Strong.
SEANBEY Strong, Instagram. And he's actually a really entertaining fighter too. Like he gave me the perfect amount of realistic beatings, but like not caving my head in.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I was able to win that fight and be like at least because when I did that fight, I was devastatingly uncomfortable because of the stadium, all the eyes on me, the pressure of a fight, but the pressure of performing in front of people. Yeah. But I at least didn't have the pressure of like fighting somebody, because this guy worked me up to a level where I was, fighting him and other dudes without knocking me out, which is a thing. That's if somebody, because anytime you spar with somebody that's if they're better than you, they're sacrificing their brain cells too, to help you out. It's not like a small gesture. It's not like a fun little thing. And it's also like you can't really get good at fighting without sparring. There's a price to be paid for this, which is your brain cells. So think about how much of that price you want to pay up front and try to minimize the cost, to get you good. You can get good to a certain extent with just pad work and heavy bag work and whatnot, but you kind of have to know how what it feels like to actually fight somebody is very different than like playing around at 60%. It's not the same thing. First thing you got to do is you got to build up your size. You have to get a bigger size, because people literally will disrespect you for being small, and they will, as soon as you start to put muscle mass on, their respect for you and their way of perceiving you will suddenly like wondrously, I wonder why. I don't understand why they're viewing me differently because I have 20 pounds more muscle. And then with the fighting stuff, I think everybody should have a base of like 1 year's worth of jujitsu, as in like diligent, like going 3 times a week, actually trying to get better at it. Do that for 1 year. That's like your baseline of like not letting other guys physically with you, is knowing how to do basic like blue belt level jiu-jitsu type stuff, and then just do whatever you want. You should study someone that has a body type like you, or does something that you could do on your best day if you were training as hard as possible, but not, that keeps it realistic. I like both fighting style wise and story wise. I like George Foreman. He's my favorite boxer. Larry Holmes, I like Lennox Lewis. George Foreman is the most realistic person for me to try to emulate. And that doesn't mean you have to be as good as the person, but like same torso length to leg length ratio, same height, weight, body, similar body. It wouldn't make sense for a short guy to try to fight like a tall guy or vice versa. The main thing I would say if you're looking up any boxing stuff is just remember that people with different bodies move differently. If you're white, you're not going to be doing a bunch of shit that some black kid is doing, okay? I mean, this is what I told Harley, because early on, he had a coach that was like a 130-pound Dominican guy, and he was telling Harley, you want to move like this, like, no, you're not gonna do that. Understanding your body and what it's capable of are pretty important. I mean, obviously, actually, I think they're like fundamentally important. I mean, this is like the iDubbbz thing. iDubbbz had his trainer's this little dude, Michael Booger Bonker. Briggs, who blocked me on Instagram too. Or, there's footage of internet comment Eric. Yeah. Internet comment etiquette, Eric, whatever. Yeah. And he's hitting a heavy bag. It's not this kid's fault, because the coach is telling him what a good job he's doing. He's hitting the heavy bag like the biggest of all time. And Michael Briggs is standing there going, yeah, great job, great. Yeah, dig in there, give it to him, yeah. Also, this stuff is not if your brain health
Yeah.
is at risk, and not only that, but like the potential for you to look like a jackass for all time in front of everybody. Anybody who Googles you is going to see you getting your ass beat by some other gamer guy. And the attitude that you're taking is like this playful, like, it's crazy to me to approach something so serious. A person swinging fists at your head is not, it's not a game.
Yeah.
I'll give you like one good punch to the back of your head and you're having headaches for
Forever.
10 years.
He's gonna kiss, he's gonna lift up that fist.
Sam, I remember you told people to learn jujitsu for self-defense in case they need it. But for the past few months, I've been learning pankration.
The problem with alternative martial arts that are effectively not that dissimilar from MMA or jujitsu, stuff like Sambo. And if you were learning Sambo in Russia, that would be fine. But if you're learning Sambo in Ohio, what that means is you're at the dojo of the one weird guy who knows Sambo in Ohio, which is a totally different thing from studying Sambo in Eastern Europe. It means that you've found someone weird who doesn't know what they're doing. So if you're studying pankration, I would imagine that if that sounds like pankrace, like the Japanese Boss Rutten fighting in boots stuff. If it's similar to that, then it's probably a similar thing to MMA. But what it means is you found a weirdo to train you, as opposed to finding somebody that has like won fights. So don't do that.